Hello everyone! Today I want to talk about a relatively new tech which I admittedly have thought of before but never went through the effort of trying because I thought it was impossible after just testing it on a few characters. But the wonderful Step from the Brawler Discord has gone a bit more in depth and actually tested it on every single character, and it turns out it is possible on quite a few of them, or at least a few of them, especially heavies. So what I'm talking about is down throw into Footstool Thrupper. And on some characters, this Thrupper does hit characters right after the Footstool, which leads to you being way higher up before having to initiate the Thrupper, which leads to earlier kills. There are obviously quite a few constraints, but it does kill earlier than regular down throw Thrupper if you do get it. From my testing, the character it works best on is Bowser, but there's probably more that work quite well. I didn't go through the effort of testing everything. If you want to lab the exact percents on which stages it kills and is possible on which CI, then everyone who's watching this, feel free to do so. I would really appreciate that. Yeah, I just did a little bit of testing and it's not that consistent, but it's quite the strong method if you know when to use it. So the first thing to think about is DI. If they DI out, it can sometimes be impossible to get the Footstool, especially at later percents, just because they are too far away, and you lose your air acceleration too quickly when trying to jump above them. So the only option is to go for Thrupper right away, because that one doesn't decelerate your aerial drift or your momentum, but getting above them for the Footstool is impossible. On the other hand, on very low percent, it's also just not killing, so you have to know when to use it. From my testing, the best time to use it is sometimes, I would say, between 1 and 10% earlier than regular down throw Thrupper. And I should mention, this only really works on platforms, so especially on the first platform on Yoshi's or on the platforms on a small battlefield or similar, there it can work really well. On any other platforms on the ground, it's not quite as useful. So you should use it 0 to 10%, usually something around 5% earlier, and you can still get a kill with it. Also against the eye out, depending on the character, of course. The eye in, on the other hand, if you have the chance to ever bait someone into the eyeing in, for example, if they're expecting a forward throw on a side platform on some stage, the eye in is very easy to get the Footstool, because you just have to jump in place and mash jump pretty much. That doesn't mean that the Thrupper will also connect correctly and get the kill, but it makes hitting the Footstool itself really easy. Speaking of the eye also changes how Thrupper interacts and which types of Thrupper hits you actually get. For example, on the eye in, if you do a forward Thrupper, you sometimes only get the first hit and then they launch behind you, or you get the first hit and you get the last hit, or sometimes you get all of them. So depending on the character and the eye and the way you're facing, you might have to do a B reverse Thrupper, but those are really specific interactions which I personally haven't labbed. If you find anything interesting, please put it in the comments. I would really appreciate seeing that. But yeah, the eye really significantly changes how many Thrupper hits you actually get after the Footstool. Not to speak of SDI. SDI probably makes this even more weird, but to be fair, if you mess up your DI and DI in or don't DI at all, then who's gonna SDI the first hit of Thrupper, you know? So I don't think that'll be a problem. My estimation of this tech would be that it can be quite useful against heavies, because getting a kill on someone like Bowser 10% earlier is quite the achievement, especially because those are the percents where you have the setups to get someone on a platform. Once they are too high percents, they aren't forced into tech situations anymore, for example. So for those characters, it can be quite useful. If you can get it consistently against someone like Steve, for example, that would also be amazing, just because it's really relevant in the matchup, and maybe you even get a down throw on some of his blocks. That might happen, but in any case, it's just a strong option to keep in mind if you know how to use it. And of course, the surprise factor and the mental damage you inflict by doing that is huge. Just imagine your opponent's face when you go for something like Footstool Thrupper and it almost kills, and they have to be scared for their lives at 30% because they think, oh, this janky tech will kill me instantly next time. I really have to avoid getting grabbed this time, even if you knew that it wasn't gonna kill yet. But it looks really janky, so people might overestimate its effect. In any case, I think that is it for the video today. If you have any experience with this tech or find anything interesting out about it, which characters work at which percents and so on, want to update the chart, want to update how to do it easily, then please put those in the comments. And yeah, Thank you for watching, and I'll see you around.